Right, here with George Rose. George, a lot to catch up on, but we'll start with Sam Goodman. Massive fight for him against Inoue for undisputed. Just your thoughts on this one first up.
Yeah, look, it's been the one that he's been waiting for and working for quite some time, and a huge opportunity for any Australian boxer to be in this position to be fighting for undisputed. And Sam Goodman's got that opportunity, and I think that he's absolutely ready to upset the world and get the win against Inoue.
A lot of promoters, a lot of managers, a lot of fighters even might have waited for Inoue to go up. I mean, there's been talk about him going up in weight divisions. You guys were pushing that mandatory position. Can you just sort of explain the thinking behind that and wanting this fight so badly?
Well, Sam's been working to be a world champ since the day he started fighting. Before Inoue came into this division, he was working towards being a world champion. The fact that Inoue came in and took all the belts, that changed the trajectory of where Sam Goodman was headed. And so right now, all roads lead to Inoue, and that's how it's been ever since he stepped up into it. So when we saw that he was coming into it, we knew that that was a fight that he would end up having to have, and he fought himself into mandatory position. He's done the performances that we wanted from him. He's done everything that's prepared him for this moment. This has been a moment that we've been preparing for over 18 months, and we knew that it was going to come. And the fact that it's here, the fact that it's landed where we wanted it, everything is falling into place. So now it's just going to come down to what happens in those 12 rounds for Sam Goodman and Inoue. But all the work's been done, and I think that he's prepared to really upset the world, and I can't wait for that moment that Sam Goodman gets, because this is something that he's always worked towards.
What did you see in Sam's last couple of performances that sort of gives you confidence he can, one, compete in this fight, and two, maybe spring probably the upset of the century, really? I mean, this guy's regarded as pound for pound in many people's lists.
And he is pound for pound. He's unbelievable. He's a great fighter. I love watching Inoue fight. I think that he absolutely deserves that mantle as pound for pound. What he's achieved, what he's been able to do, he's amazing. He's a very good fighter, but so is Sam Goodman. Sam Goodman's a very good fighter, and this is Sam's division. This has been Sam's division for a long time, and it's the one where he's been campaigning for a long time. And it's funny to say that Sam's a lot bigger than him, because Sam's a little guy, but Sam's a lot bigger than him, and Sam's prepared for this fight. So what he's done in his last few fights, I thought, stepping up in calibre against the opponents that he's had. Some really solid opposition that he's had, I think, has prepared him for this moment too. He's been put in the deep end, and he showed that he can handle it, that he can absolutely handle it. And I mean, even having to have his own shows down in Wollongong, I think you can't underestimate the pressure that comes with having to represent in your hometown and carry a show in your hometown. To do what he did at Wollongong, at Wollongong Entertainment Centre, it's huge. To take that pressure, put on a good performance, get a good result, and be able to come out the way that he has. He's matured from them fights, and so anything that happens to him over in Japan, he's not going to be overawed by anything. He knows what's coming. He's had the pressure of leading a promotion before, and his boxing has improved. He's taken opponents that him and his team believe will prepare him for Inoue, and this is where we're at.
Saw some comments yesterday from Inoue, and he rates Sam.
Yeah.
He's impressed with what he's seen from Sam. Does that? What do you make of those comments?
Look, I think that just further solidifies the fact that we're going to see the best version of Inoue in this fight. He will be the absolute best version. They're talking about, his promoters are talking about him having fights planned for 2025 already. That's a promoter's job. Promoter's got to plan that out. But I know that Inoue knows that this is a very tough fight. His last two fights at super bantamweight, he has been tested. So he's not going to take this lightly. Sam's mandatory in two of the sanctioning bodies. So he knows that Sam's worked his way to the top. He knows that Sam's the toughest guy in the division, so he'll be the best version of him, and that might be exciting for boxing fans, but it's also a huger honour for Sam Goodman, knowing that he's going to fight a pound for pound beast at his absolute best. So when he upsets Inoue, it's an even huger result for this Australian boxer.
About 6 weeks away now from the fight. what does the next 6 weeks look like from your perspective as a promoter, and can we expect to see some domestic shows in the next few weeks? Any update there?
You've been given some inside info, haven't you? You've been given some inside info. We've got some exciting things coming up. We'll have a final show for the year here in Australia. We always love doing a December show to thank everyone for the year and to put on some great fights to remind everyone what we've got here in Australia as well. We've got some great talent here in Australia, so we'll get to show off a few. We might even have an exciting signing announcement coming for you in the next few days too. We'll give you a little something in the next few days as well. Huh?
The exclusive.
It's coming. It's coming.
Going back a few weeks now, Tszyu, a disappointing, a shock loss to Bakram Murtazaev. When you were watching the fight, your reaction to that fight?
Yeah, look, it was very tough to watch. I obviously couldn't travel over with the team at the time. I just had surgery and couldn't travel. So for me, sitting at home watching on TV was very tough to watch the way that it played out. We've had such a great journey with Tim to this point, and you don't want to see him get hurt. You never want to see him get hurt. You never want to see him lose. And yes, it was a tough one to watch, but that's boxing. You get caught, and that happens. So it was really hard, but it was a reminder, I think, to everybody who watches Tim's fights. We've loved Tim. We always expect him to win, but we always, I think as boxing fans, we forget just how good the opposition is that he's in the ring against. And, even though you might not know Murtazaev and his boxing history, it showed just how bloody good he is. These are the opponents that Tszyu's fighting now, that he's been fighting. The fact that he's been able to do this in his last few fights, the wins that he's had leading to where he's at. He's been fighting the same calibre opponents, and I do still believe that 99 out of 100 times Tszyu beats Murtazaev, but on that night it just didn't go his way.
Have you spoken to Tim since he's been back? What's his mindset?
He's having a rest for now. He's obviously had a huge couple of years becoming a world champion, defending that title and having some huge moments in boxing over the last 2 years. So a good rest for him at the moment, leading into the new year, and we'll be ready to go again next year.
Just back on the fight, a lot of people seem to think they were surprised that Tim was walking Bakram down in that first round. Were you surprised at the tactics employed by Tim?
Man, Tim's a far better, far smarter boxer than I will ever be. He was the guy in the ring. He knew what he was doing. He knew what his plan was. I will never question someone of that caliber's tactics. For me, it's always easy to sit here in hindsight and say he should have did this, he should have did that, and a lot of people have that opinion. I know that there's a lot of people that don't like to see our guys be successful. When you're successful, people are waiting for the moment for you to fall, and as soon as you have a loss, everybody's got an opinion. Everybody thinks that they've got the best advice to provide for them. But on the way up, he was the guy that was making it happen. His team was the guys that were making it happen. They've taken very tough fights and had great results, and it was them that made that happen. And, while when you're winning, people can't take shots at you. And then, when a loss comes around, people will take their shot. They've been hanging to take their shot for a long time. Now they get their opportunity to take their shot. So enjoy the moment, keep taking your shots, because when he's back on top again, you'll have nothing left to say.
I guess you got the same thought on the people that say Tim needs to change his team, perhaps change trainers or bring someone in. Have any conversations occurred that you've heard around that, or Tim's response to that? Or?
As I said, in hindsight, everybody's going to have an opinion, and the same people having this opinion have probably wanted to say something for the last 20-odd fights, but they haven't been able to do it because Tim has been winning. The moment that someone cops a loss, everybody wants to be the new expert in the room. I trust him, so I trust his team. I trust every decision that they make. So for me, people take shots at us too, and that's the thing is that we've been winning for a long time. So the moment that we've had this, the moment that we take a loss, people have been hanging to take that shot. So enjoy taking the shots right now because we'll be back in the winner's circle very soon. And it is what it is. For me, I'm never going to take a shot at anyone because I know boxing's a very hard sport. I know how much work that everybody puts in to achieve what they get. It's not a... If it was an easy sport, everybody would be doing it. And I'm talking about every aspect of the sport. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. Everyone would be successful. But it's not that way. It's a very tough sport. It's a very unforgiving sport. And you've got to have a passion for the sport to be able to be successful in it. And we're passionate about it. We want to keep putting on the great shows. We want to keep delivering the best shows, the most exciting fights for Australia. And we will keep doing it. We will keep doing it. So you ain't getting rid of us, bro.
One last probing question. There were some people saying that you guys or Tim's management were looking too far ahead and looking past Buckram. Any response to that?
It's my job to look at his next 4 or 5 fights. I've already got his next 4 or 5 fights in mind right now. I do that for every one of my fighters. If we're not doing work in the background to get to the positions that we are, we wouldn't have had guys fighting for world titles. If we weren't doing any work in the background on the next fights, nobody would be at the level that they are because you've got to put in the work, you've got to plan ahead, you've got to plan for great shows for people to get excited for. So that's our job. Our job is to look ahead, plan ahead. But for Tim and for our fighters, their focus is this fight. And don't ever get it twisted, they're always focused on that fight. That fight is the one that means the most because it's your next fight. As a fighter, it's your next fight that decides what happens after that. And so while we may put 5 more steps in place for our fighter for the next fights, if something goes wrong, then we have to rejig it. We have to look at what's the new next, because we want to provide opportunities for them to be the best that they can, get paid the best that they can, and to be as entertaining as they can as well. So if we're not providing them opportunities, we're not doing our jobs as managers or promoters.
What's next for Tim Tszyu? Our old friend Michael Zerafa's been out and about on some podcasts recently saying that he's entered negotiations. Any comment on that?
Yeah, right now Tim's resting, so he's had a huge couple of years. So the rest is well deserved for him, absolutely well deserved. So he'll enjoy his rest for now, and we'll look at what happens in the new year. But as soon as he's ready to go again, we'll make sure them opportunities are there for him. Whatever he wants, he'll get.
What about Zerafa's comments? Is he in the picture or is he more towards Nikita at this point?
Well, Zerafa's entertaining for Australian boxing. I know that a lot of people hate him. A lot of people hate what he's got to say. But he's a guy who's got a platform and he's making the most of it. It happens a lot here in boxing is that the people who are making the most noise, people want to see get hurt. So I've got no problems with what Michael Zerafa's saying and doing. And if there's fights there for him to be made, then we'll make the fight.
Beauty. Thanks so much, George.
Thank you.